We are live for a new episode of the Electrek podcast. I am Fred Lambert, your host, and as usual, I'm joined by Seth Winthrop. How are you doing, Seth?
I'm good.
All right. What we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about, our friend Elon Musk is just dropped the hot new podcast with Joe Rogan today. And I put it real quick. I couldn't, literally, it was a few hours ago, so I didn't have time to read to listen to the 3-hour podcast. So I dropped it in Gemini to make sure I'm not missing anything about Tesla specifically. And out of the 3 hours, it talked a good 10 minutes about Tesla. So I was able to watch that at least, tell you any new information coming out of that in a few minutes. Then we're going to talk about Robotaxi, where we actually have some useful data about Robotaxi, thanks to Tesla to a degree. A little V14, FSD V14 data that came out. We're going to talk about Cybercab, new information coming from Robin and Home, who's doing the little media tour right now for the compensation package, which we're going to talk a little bit about too. Then Canada may be getting Chinese EVs. There's new rumors going around. Lucid talked a little bit about its autonomous roadmap involving its midsize EVs coming next year. Then we have a bunch of new EVs that were unveiled, or at least prototypes or concepts for EVs that were unveiled at it was the Japan Mobility Show this week. So we've got a few new EVs on that front. And then we're going to end on another EV that's been, they keep using the word pause or halted or whatever in the US because of the change in the regulations. But it's basically going to be dead probably. And that's all the news that we're going to discuss today. But then in the end, as usual, we're going to be able to take you guys questions or, suggestion of topics where you want to take on. So you can put that in the comment section. And when we get to it towards the end of the show, I'm going to remind you of that later on in the show as more people join in, because we are live everywhere on YouTube, Facebook, X, everywhere. And if you do enjoy the show and you're watching live right now, you can hit that like button and the share button. These things are free to do, and it helps the show get to more people, and more people get to enjoy listening to us talking about EVs. Speaking of EVs, the Tesla Roadster. So there's been a lot of chatter about the Roadster lately, which is rare because, for those who remember, it was unveiled in 2017, was supposed to be in production in 2020, and has literally been delayed every single year since. What happened in the last few days is that, people got really excited because Tesla posted a job listing for a manufacturing engineer for the Roadster battery pack. So manufacturing engineer, Roadster battery pack. So that would mean, Tesla's actually going to manufacture that thing. Now, to be fair, they are looking right now to hire a manufacturing engineer to build the processes for the battery pack for the Roadster. So if they're hiring someone for that right now, even if all goes well, I wouldn't expect, best case scenario, if everything goes well, end of next year, some production, but I would most likely be 2027. And again, at this point, when it comes to the Roadster, I am firmly in the case that I'll believe it when I see it, because otherwise there's no point of getting excited.
Yeah, in 2027 will be at 10 years since the announcement, a full decade.
Great timing. But that's the thing too. It's that's when they unveiled in 2017. Now there's no point in making that. It's been surpassed already by a bunch of other supercars out there. There needs to be a next gen Roadster to be unveiled, and that is something that Elon has been talking about for a while. And lately, one of the other things that's contributing in some kind of renewed excitement around the Roadster is that Elon has been talking about a demo by the end of the year. There's also been some talks, earlier this morning, I wrote an article on Salma Altman posting that he canceled his Roadster reservation after 7.5 years, and he got a little ghosted from apparently the reservation process email that they use for the Roadster has been disabled entirely. So he thought he could just cancel it like that, and he got a big go. Nope, that's not working. And we talked about that a few weeks back too, a month back, when MKBHD also went through the process of canceling its Roadster, and it's not a Roadster reservation, and that's not easy to do. But what happened today is the Joe Rogan podcast. And on Joe Rogan, like I said, there was very little talk about Tesla during the whole 3-hour podcast. Elon tried to sell Rogan on the Cybertruck for like 5 minutes or so, and not really any new information other than like he thinks it's Tesla's best product ever. And then Rogan was the one that prompted Elon to talk about the Roadster. He said, "Is it still happening?" And then he said, "Yes, it's still happening." And he said that Tesla is getting close to a demonstration of a new version of the Roadster because again, it needs to be
and this year, which is 2 months from being over.
So like 2 months ago, he said by the end of the year, there's going to be this incredible demonstration. In the podcast, he did again say like maybe a few months. We are hoping by the end of the year, but he was a lot less confident about it. So, and if Elon is not confident about it,
Right.
don't put a lot of stock in it. But yeah, he said that. And then he hyped up the demonstration as being like, all right, it's going to unforgettable, possibly the best demonstration ever, the most unforgettable. And he said like it could go bad, it could go well, but it's going to be unforgettable. And then Rogan prompted him to like, all right, why would it be like that? And then he said, my friend Peter Thiel once reflected that the future was supposed to have flying cars, but we don't have flying cars. If Peter wants a flying car, we should be able to buy one. We should be able to buy one. And then Rogan asked, all right, you're actually talking about making the Roadster like a flying car? And then Musk was like, all right, you're going to have to wait for the demo. But he had it. Look, I think it has a shot at being the most memorable product unveil ever. This is some crazy technology we got in this car. Crazy technology, crazy. He was rambling a lot in this whole thing. Is it even a car? It looks like a car. Let's just put it this way. It's crazier than anything James Bond. If you look at all the James Bond cars, combine them, it's crazier than that. So the guy is in full hype mode. But I think so. It was weird because like Rogan was like pressing him. I was like, okay, what's it gonna be? It's gonna have wings. It's gonna like if it's a flying thing, like it's gonna have it can be on the road, but it can be flying too. So it's gonna have retractable wings and things like that. And then Elon was like being vague and everything. And I think Rogan actually used the word sly. Like, don't be sly about it. Like just talk about it. And so it's clear that the way that Elon was talking about it and referencing Peter Thiel talking about the future with flying cars, that Rogan is actually thinking of what most people think when you think of a flying car, which is, a road safe, legal vehicle, passenger car on the road that can, transform into a flying vehicle, flying aircraft for a reasonable but useful distance. And to be fair, there are some eVTOL aircrafts these days that are getting close to that, but they are either like very much a car that can do something, or they're most if they are called an eVTOL, they're most likely a vehicle that flies and doesn't really drive, and they have a lot of limitation in terms of like there's the Jetson one that I think is considered like a the Pivotal one is considered a lightweight aircraft, so you don't have to have a permit, but the flying limitation are extreme. Like you cannot do much with it. It's not, obviously, I don't think anyone believes that this is what Tesla is going to do with the Roadster here. And that is why Elon is being sly about it and he's being vague. Rogan thinks that's because he's being secretive or ahead of the demonstration. But the real reason is because he's being purposely vague to let people think that that's actually what they're going to do. But you cannot do a vehicle like the Roadster that's going to have the performance, the road performance of a Roadster, and that can fly for any kind of meaningful distance, length, height, altitude, or anything like that.
Yeah.
So
I was thinking about that. You know that car that was at Goodwood that it sticks to the ground? It has like those fans or whatever. I was wondering if you like reverse that, it could just be like a hovercraft.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain degree, but that car is like super light, has a very small battery pack, and it probably doesn't have all the safety requirements to be road legal and all that. So it's not going to be that. So there's ways to do things like you said, or a true eVTOL, but to have a road legal vehicle, especially a super car that's like James Bond like he said, and he said it looks like a car. and you want to have like, it was supposed to be like a 200 kilowatt hour battery pack capable of 1,000 kilometers, 600 miles of range in that Roadster. I don't know if that's still the case, but you cannot do that, and the car is going to be able to fly for any kind of significant amount. Now you can do what you talked about before, which is put cold air thrusters inside the car and put air compressor system that can like just pump the air and compress it and then use it in cooler thrusters. And you can do that to like, add downforce, add acceleration, and possibly even, if you really want to, have it like jumped a little or even hover for a few seconds. That's really possible, and that will be impressive. To be fair, I think that would be like an impressive demo. I'm sure he's right about that, but I think he's doing Tesla disservice with this appearance on the Rogan show, and I hyping it as it's going to be a flying car, as what Peter Thiel wanted. It's like, it's not going to be that. It's not going to be close to that. So why are we hyping that? Like, it makes no sense.
It's kind of weird that they're friends again. I mean, I guess, like Peter Thiel kicked him out of PayPal. Like they were enemies for a while.
They have some common things, a lot of things in common. I think they figured out. I think they can work past that.
It's mostly just money, but yeah.
Yeah, money. Well, they're both from South Africa, right? I think he's South African too.
Oh, is that right?
I think so. Or at least he has some roots in South Africa.
He was German or something.
I think they both like to use government money to get richer too. I think they both found that to be a very useful path to acquiring wealth and power.
Palantir,
Palantir, and Elon to SpaceX contracts, and they both like to have influence in the government, and they seem to both be heavily backing JD Vance to be the puppet leader of the U.S. in the next election. I think they have a lot in common. And the haircut in common too these days too. Like, he's starting to look more and more like, for people that don't see it, we have the YouTube video on right now, and he's starting to look a lot like Peter Thiel.
It's a weird look.
I'm not backing. When I'm streaming on StreamYard, the back button is not working as well. All right, Robotaxi. So that was probably my biggest article of the week. So we had a new NHTSA report for the ADS crash reporting. So under the standing order, that's probably not going to last that long, because Trump has signaled that he wants to remove that. And, there's a big cuts at NHTSA. So it's probably one of the first things they want to remove. And Elon wants it out too. And it looks like he's back in the good graces of Trump. So this might be one of the last of those reports that we got. But these reports force automakers to share data about any crash that happened with ADAS system. So for Tesla, that's autopilot and full self-driving, and ADS, fully autonomous driving system, level 3 to 5. And that has been, for the most part, Waymo. But since the Tesla put the safety driver on the passenger seat rather than the driver's seat for the Austin Robotaxi system, they have to report on that too. So for the last few months, Tesla has reported the first few crashes incident involving the Robotaxi. So all the crash, so last month we talked about the first report that was for July, and in July there were 3 crashes that were reported. So in the first month of operation. Now there's another crash that's been reported for September, and again, the main issue with that is that Tesla redacts most of the data about those crashes, so we don't know much about the crash. What we know about this new crash is that it happened in a parking lot, and the Tesla Robotaxi hit a fixed object. Now, the first thing that's interesting about this is that Tesla actually released mileage for the robot. And again, this is just the Robotaxi in Austin, because any crash involving the Robotaxi in San Francisco, it would fall into the ADAS reporting, because there's a Tesla driver in a driver's seat. It's basically just Uber with FSD. That's what it is. And there's probably crashes with that too, but it's harder to parse through them because Tesla redacts all the information that posted to NHTSA. So it's hard to know exactly, like, is it the Robotaxi or is it just a regular Model Y? So in the case, Tesla just said it's a Model Y, doesn't say like if it's using what version of FSDs, if you're using Robotaxi. So the only reason we know this is Robotaxi is because it's in the ADS reporting, and the only vehicles that falls into that reporting for Tesla is the Robotaxi in Austin. And Tesla, at the earnings, they did disclose that Robotaxi in Austin have traveled 250,000 miles so far. So we do know now that there's the crash rate for Tesla Robotaxi in Austin, and that's 4 crashes at 250,000 miles. That's best case scenario. It might be more than that, obviously, because the 250,000 miles was up to October, and this is up to September. So it could be more. We don't know yet. But that's a crash every 62,500 miles. Now, the main thing to focus on here, obviously, is that this might sound good, but this is with a safety monitor inside the car with a finger on the kill switch. So these safety monitors prevent a bunch of crashes that could have been caused by the Robotaxi system. So we don't actually know the true purely Robotaxi crash rate. Like, we don't know how many crashes these guys prevented. So it's probably much less than a crash every 62,000 miles. But despite that, so I decided to compare it to Waymo, just for the sake of comparison. But again, it's not apple to apple here. It's apple to oranges, because Waymo, the data that I use is the EDS reporting, where Waymo has been doing that for 5 years now. So 1,267 crashes, so a lot more crashes than Tesla, and also a lot more mileage. They are at 125 million miles. So if you do the crash rate on that, that's 98,600. So that's almost twice as good, like 50% better than Tesla. But again, without any safety monitor inside the vehicle. So it's apple to oranges. The only thing it proves is that, yes, as we expected, Waymo is way ahead of Tesla when it comes to autonomous driving. Because, I would like to be able to say too, like, there was 3 crashes in July and just 1 crash in September. So, that means the crash rate is going down. But you cannot even say that, really, because really the safety monitors could be getting better. And we don't know how the 250,000 miles. We don't know how many of those miles were in July versus September, because it doesn't look like there's much expansion. There's expansion of the area side for the Austin, Texas Robotaxi, but there's not much expansion of the actual fleet. So it's we don't know the mileage rate, so you cannot actually say that the crash rate is going down. All right, so that's on the Robotaxi front, and now an update on the full self-driving supervised and consumer vehicles. So it's been a few weeks since V14 has been out, so I wanted to do a little report on it, see how it's going, take some feedback from drivers, take some early data. Again, very early data. We're only at 4,700 miles here. I already said that my expectation for V14 was between 800 and 1,200 miles between critical disengagement. The data was pointing to 730 when I wrote this article. Now I think it's closer to 800. So it's basically what I expected on that front, maybe on the lower side. So, at expectation. But in terms of the actual performance of the system, there's been a lot of disappointment. We've been hearing from drivers, there's a bunch of hallucinations of the system. So, for example, this is a common example here. You see the Tesla is tracking a car in front that put the signal to the right to just turn right at the street, and the Tesla on FSD abruptly stop on the side of the road because of it. So we think that this is an hallucination where the car is confusing the turn signal of the vehicle in front for an emergency vehicle and stops, something like that, because it's something that happens quite frequently, apparently. And then there's another example of brake stabbing where the system looks very hesitant in doing a specific task. So it pumps the brake rapidly to like it wants to go and doesn't want to go, wants to go, and that pumps the brake, which makes for a very uncomfortable ride, obviously. Though Elon actually said that should be fixed by 14.2, and he even recommended that most people probably shouldn't actually download the 14.1 because of it's not the most comfortable ride because of it. And then even worse than that, there's a bunch of people that are reporting that FSD V14, when they download the latest update, it crashed the whole FSD. Like FSD doesn't work at all. So there's been a bunch of bug reports on that either the summon feature doesn't work or the whole FSD doesn't work when downloading the full update. So it's not clear what's the actual problem with that. But yeah, it's not ideal. No, that's true. I keep forgetting that I cannot press the back button. All right, next news that I want to discuss is the Cybercab. So that's coming from Robin Denholm, Tesla's chairwoman. She's been doing a little media blitz this week. She went on CNBC, she went on Bloomberg, she went on a bunch, especially of the financial media, to try to push Elon's compensation package. Because she never comes out of the woods, but unless it's time to get Elon paid, then she.
That's such a weird dynamic. Like, she's the board of directors.
Yeah.
Like, she's the one who's kind of making. It's just a wild situation.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And she mentioned this. She was asked about the Cybercab. So, and that's funny because I was talking to my friend Bastien about this, like literally a day before that news came out. We're talking about like what they were like. We were talking about Elon's comment from just last week at the earnings call, or the week before that, whatever it was, where Elon says that, I'm feeling so confident about full self-driving now that I'm increasing production because the demand is going to come from full self-driving. And he said most of the production increase is going to come from the Cybercab production. And Cybercab is not supposed to have any pedals, any steering wheel. In fact, it's kind of, Elon described it as a failure if it has that. He said, no mirrors, no pedals, no steering wheel. Let me be clear, this vehicle must be designed as a clean robotaxi. We are going to take that risk, but we're not going to design some sort of amphibian frog that's halfway a car. We are all in on autonomy. So all in on autonomy means no steering wheel, no pedals, no mirrors, which is a problem if you're going to set up production to make hundreds of thousands of those a year and autonomy is not solved. Now, Elon says he's confident about it, but I think it's fair to have room for concern when the guy has been consistently wrong about this and when it's going to come out. So it's extremely unreasonable for an automaker to invest billions of dollars into high volume production of a vehicle that you're not even sure is going to be able to be useful at all. It's wild. I mean, I guess it could be useful in the context of like the Robotaxi in Austin with a safety. Can you imagine having a safety monitor inside that vehicle? It's a two-seater. So like only one person can use it. You can sit.
That's going to ruin date night.
Yeah, you gotta sit next to that guy and be like, how's your day going? And like, apparently they cannot really talk to you about anything either. So it's so weird. Anyway,
they can't give you like a little tour of the city.
Yeah, be your little guide. Denholm kind of opened up the door for Tesla to do what we've been expecting them to do, and it's actually put a steering wheel on that thing. So she said, if we have to have a steering wheel, it can have a steering wheel and pedals. So they said that they are preparing for that. So she's signaling to the market is like, don't be shocked if we actually launch that thing with a steering wheel. And yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense. So there is actually federal laws in place for that. And there is an exemption that you can have for each manufacturer can produce up to 2,500 passenger vehicles without steering wheel and pedals per year. So this is in place. This is like what Waymo is using. It's what a few other companies that are developing self-driving are using. And I think there's room to get expansion for more and everything. But Tesla, that's not really what Tesla wants to do. They want to make hundreds of thousands of those. So it's not. It doesn't work like that. Now people are speculating that you might be able to actually buy that car and drive it yourself, which would be cool. Even though I just don't think that the form factor makes a lot of sense here. If you for a Robotaxi, I mean, there's decent space in the back for luggage, but it's the two-seater. So, it's basically an Aptera. Like people are gonna buy that on an Aptera. Like, if anything, like putting a steering wheel and pedals in that thing, like, is a good selling point for the Aptera. It's like, there's actually a market for a two-seater vehicle.
Yeah, they could put solar on the back too. That would be pretty sweet. They don't have a rear window.
Mm-hmm.
It is actually a lot like the Aptera.
Mm-hmm. Less efficient a little bit. Doesn't have solar on top either. All right, the other thing that Denholm was pushing all week in a little media blitz, and Elon has been retweeting her on this, and he, of course, a few weeks ago we also reported that he tweeted it himself that the threat that he's going to leave Tesla if he doesn't get his package. And this week there was a little bit more talk about that, where Denholm repeated that claim, and then she said that they are looking at internal CEO replacement options if the vote doesn't go through and I guess he leaves. So they're talking about this very seriously. Obviously, I mean, if you're the board of Tesla and your CEO is literally out there threatening to leave the company if he doesn't get his way, it's your job to have a succession plan in place. So I don't think it's that much of a tell or anything. And if anything, I think that Elon's threat of leaving is a bluff, and it basically amounts to blackmailing, because we've discussed this before, but there's what I call the Tesla shareholder dilemma, where if Elon stays at Tesla, it continues the way he's doing, where it's like all in on autonomy, a lot of disregard for safety, resulting in giant liability through lawsuits, through liability of not delivering full self-driving on hardware 3 cars, and now very likely hardware 4 cars. Because hardware 5 is like months away at this point, and we all know that when there's a new hardware, what happens with the last hardware when it comes to Tesla cars. So it's the path is quite clear at this point. I do believe that Tesla's going to solve autonomy at one point. It's just by that time they will. I think there's going to be strong competition, and on top of it, Tesla's going to have a giant liability to deliver on promises that they cannot deliver. So it's just a bad path. In the meantime, Tesla's very profitable car business is just going downhill because of Elon, again, both on the brand side of things and also on the strategy side of things because of this all-in autonomy strategy. So this is a problem where you keep going with Elon, you're in trouble. And if you don't go with Elon, if you don't vote for this package, if you vote out the board, if you force a change at the Tesla leadership, then what happens is that the stock will crash, at least short term, because most of the value in the stock right now is attached to Elon's promises. And so if Elon goes, then he goes with his promises, and then the stock crash. And then if he literally sells his stocks too, like when he bought Twitter, that also puts selling pressure on the stocks, and then also the stock goes down. So it's kind of an impossible position they are in, and the threat of leaving, even though I think he's completely bluffing, is a very efficient one. It's working. I'm sure it's working. I'm sure a lot of people are voting for the package because they're scared. And I want to highlight a few things in this. Is like, first of all, because one of the main argument I get when I say like this is a bad package and people shouldn't vote for it is like, you don't want Elon to get paid. Is that it? And with that, I say, well, first of all, I don't care if Elon gets paid or not. Like he's one of the richest men on earth. Like it doesn't matter really, like for him to get paid. But anyway, what I want to highlight is that he's the one forcing this all or nothing situation. Like it's not like you have shareholders have options to vote on like a more reasonable package or no package at all. It's no package or this crazy package that makes no sense. So he's the one who negotiate that. I'm doing air quotes for those who are listening only, with the board. So yeah, it's his choice to make this. It's his choice to do this all or nothing package, and it's his choice to threaten shareholders to leave if he doesn't get the control. And then there's the other side, is like, Fred, it's not about the money. This very rich guy that spent a lot of his time focusing on accumulating wealth is not trying to accumulate more wealth with this compensation package. He's doing it to get control of Tesla so that he gets control over the robot army, and not a crazy person get control of this robot army. There's so much problem with this way of thinking. But the first one is, then why is no one talking about all the other options for him to get more money? Like, first of all, there's precedent. I put the Jeff Bezos one here. There's precedent for CEOs who don't get any compensation whatsoever. I mean, he got $80,000 per year, but like, let's be clear, this is nothing for Jeff Bezos. But sorry, someone's calling me. He never got extra stock option for his decades of being CEO of Amazon, because in his head, it was like, I already own the most stock of Amazon than anybody else, so I benefit the most of Amazon doing well. And sure enough, so that was the idea behind Tesla. Because let's be clear with the Elon compensation package here. If everything happens exactly like all the milestones in the compensation package happens, but Elon doesn't get any stock options through the process, Elon's stake in Tesla becomes worth $1 trillion. Okay, it goes from like 200 billion, whatever, to about $1 trillion. So the stock compensation package only is the difference between him having $1 trillion or $2 trillion stake in Tesla, which the difference is immense. But in actuality, it's nothing. It's like, all right, I won't do all of this for Tesla because I will only get $1 trillion out of this. I need $2 trillion to make it. It's that's what he's saying when he's saying that. It makes no sense. Now, if you believe the argument it's about control, then do it the Ellison way. Larry Ellison, the CEO of Oracle, I guess the chairman now of Oracle, is a close friend of Elon. He probably told him about this. It's like, you can do like stock buybacks, and you do enough stock buybacks, well, your stake in Tesla that exists will increase in percentage until you reach the level that you want. This is, a common ways to do it. And it's also a way that doesn't just benefit him, the largest shareholder, but all shareholders at the same time, because you have anti-dilution instead. So that makes a ton of sense. Now, it only makes a ton of sense if you think that Tesla is undervalued, though, because then you don't buy your stock if you think your stock is overvalued. And this is the core of the issue here. Elon knows the stock is overvalued, and knows the stock only hinges on these crazy promises. And he knows that this compensation package will make him tens of billions of dollars, even without achieving most of it. So that's the core of it. And that's why everything points to this being about money rather than control and a robot army, or whatever you want to believe. All right, we're going to move on from Tesla, almost straight on the 30-minute mark, to discuss other things. And then at the end of the show, as usual, we can take you guys questions or subject in the EV or renewable energy world that you want to take on. So you can put that in the comment section. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, X, and everywhere. So you can put your questions or any other subject in the EV world you want us to discuss. And we're going to get to it in about 10, 15 minutes. So first off, there's some rumors going around that Canada's going to open up to Chinese EVs, remove the 100% tariffs. Quick reminder, last year, like the US, Canada put 100% tariffs on Chinese EVs, mainly to follow the US in protecting local automotive industry. Then the US went hostile in trade with Canada, and then Canada had to US put tariffs on Canadian cars, and then Canada put tariffs on US cars, and now we are kind of stuck without having much EV supplies or reasonable priced EV supplies. And EV adoption has been falling all year because of that. So there's been talk about opening up, removing the tariffs on Chinese EVs, and getting them to enter the market and go back to increasing EV adoptions through that, which was something that we've been advocating for at Electrek. And now in China, there's been two sides of things that started a bunch of rumors this week. Is that, first of all, I think Mark Carney is still right now in Korea at APEC meeting with President Xi Jinping and the Chinese president. And apparently the meeting just happened yesterday, I think, and now he's going to China also to do a state visit soon, is what came out of the meeting. And a potential trade deal is rumored to happen at the same time. So that was part of the rumor. And then on the other side, there's been rumors coming from China, from local media, that said that a deal is in the work, and the deal will apparently involve Canada removing the tariffs on Chinese EVs, and the China removing, well, I don't know if it's removing tariff or removing importation restriction on canola and pork. So crazy deal here. EVs for canola and pork, but whatever. Also, to be clear too, people say oh, Fred, you're so excited about this because it's gonna hurt Tesla and area. This is going to be good for Tesla, at least in the short. The biggest winner out of this is it's going to be Tesla in the short term, because right now Tesla, we get some Berlin Model Ys at not too heavy of a cost in Canada, but Model 3 starts at $80,000 Canadian, which makes no sense. And so because Tesla used to bring their Model 3s and Model Ys too from China to Canada, and now they switched to the US, and now they switched to Berlin and the US for the Model 3. So it's going to be Tesla that's going to benefit the most from this, at least in the short term, because it's going to take a while, obviously, for Chinese automakers to set up shop in Canada. It's not exactly easy to do. They need to build out the distribution and service network. It takes a while.
Tesla's not selling a ton of EVs in Canada at the moment, though.
No. I mean, some Model Ys for sure because of Berlin, but even Berlin, I think they don't have the standard range version, so they don't have the cheapest one. And then the Model 3 is like, if you're buying a Model 3 in Canada right now, a new Model 3 makes no sense. I think they might have some in inventory pre-tariffs yet, but not a lot probably. All right, there was a little bit of talk from Lucid this week about plans to offer level 4 autonomous driving in their vehicles. So we talked a little bit about their partnership with Neuro, but that's through Uber deploying 20,000 Gravity with Neuro technology to drive. But Lucid is also independently working on its own self-driving technology for consumer vehicles. And I think that was at the NVIDIA presentation, because it was in relation to the new NVIDIA Drive AV AGX Tor computers that were announced. And Lucid was part of the announcement where they said that for their new midsize lineup that's going to be unveiled next year, or actually enter production next year, they're going to deploy a new hardware suite that's going to include new sensors and this advanced computer in it. And they aim for that to be capable of level 4 self-driving. So that's going to be the goal. Now, I hope they're not going to go the Tesla way and like sell it right away or anything like that, but it's more like it's the hardware is there, and then we're going to deploy more capacity over time, and then you can buy the software version. All right, then we have a bunch of cars from the Japan Mobility Show in Tokyo this week that were unveiled. Subaru had an interesting one, an electric hot hatch, the STI Performance E STI concept, which looked pretty sick actually.
Yep, I like it.
Yeah, it's a good-looking car, and it kind of follow up on the WRX STI, and that launched in 2022. But that's not electric, and so they are making sort of an electric version hot hatch of that, but it's very much a concept right now. I don't think they confirmed it's battery electric, and that's about it. I don't think there was spec. They said it's cylindrical battery cells in there, 15% lower center of gravity, but I don't think they shared much spec other than that, to be honest with you. Nor plans to bring it to production. Another concept that was unveiled at the show, but with closer potential of production, is, again, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. So weird. Is the Toyota Corolla EV. So the Corolla,
that looks crazy for a Corolla.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, Toyota has been making a lot of improvement in design lately. Like the new Prius, I kind of like the 20 since 2025, 2026 is actually pretty good looking. Like, I think it's a really good looking car. And now they are making a big upgrade to the Corolla with this Corolla EV concept. So one of the best selling car in the world could go electric soon. Well, actually, I think they already have an electric version in China.
I'm sure in China.
Yeah, but it's like one that's produced by a Chinese company and has a Toyota logo on it. So this would be like a global version of the Corolla all electric. It has a light bar in the front. I think it looks a little bit cheap like that, but the side view and the 3/4 side view is actually very sick.
Yeah.
And it looks concept-y, but looking at their latest designs, I feel like this actually not too bad. Like,
yeah,
it could
the
actually be a
interior is
production.
definitely the interior is definitely
a little bit more concept. Yeah. So also no spec yet, but they confirmed that the next gen Toyota Corolla is expected to have an EV, a plug-in hybrid, and an hybrid version, and likely still an ICE variant apparently. So it's gonna have 4 different powertrains. Jeez. All right, last piece of news before we jump into the comment section. The EV4 is not coming to America, at least not now. So they confirmed this week that it's delayed until further notice. So normally that means get your hack together, change your regulation, maybe we'll bring it. But for the meantime, not. So I went to Korea earlier this year. Yes, earlier this year to test out the car. And I thought it was a pretty good car. It was like a great follow-up to the EV6, which we all liked. It's a little bit smaller, more sedan than crossover, and more efficient, and has all the same features that we enjoy in the EV6, which is a different form factor, lower price, but not coming to America. Because Americans don't want EVs, apparently.
Yep. All right, let's move into the comments. Carl in San Diego. B14 disaster was what I was alluding to 2 weeks ago. It's worse. This points to machine learning's black box AI Achilles heel. You don't know what you've learned and unlearned with training.
Mm-hmm. That's used to be something that Elon warns about when it comes to self-driving improvement. It's like a 2-step forward, 1 step back kind of process.
Yeah.
And so when you do that step back, then it's like, all right, it screws with your prediction of timelines. And it's been part of why there's no, it never makes sense.
All right, Dan Overstay says, how much money are they going to lose with all the ones they have to give away free to the influencers like Fred?
And like Seth, too.
Yeah, like me, too.
I think last time I calculated it was like 36 fully free ones. And then it's like hundreds, if not thousands, of like discounted ones, because you can be discounted as low as like 10% discounts, I think, and then up to like 90% discount. And technically, like if you get a 10% discount on a $250,000 car, it's $25,000. So you kind of might as well just buy it, even if it's just to sell it. Even though I think at first it's going to be a lot of selling pressure on the vehicle, so it's going to affect the market. But yeah, there's a real possible scenario of like Tesla has to deliver 30 of them for free, and then a few hundred with heavy discounts. So I don't know if that was. By the way, I should say, the other thing that Elon said in the podcast is that he blamed the delays on the Roadster on we've been working on this crazy new technology for it, which I don't really believe. I think it's as I don't know if that has to do with the fact that they owe a bunch of them for free and discounted ones, but I think it has more to do. And he said that too early in the Model Y development in like 2020, 2021, when they started ramping that up. It's like we need to focus on ramping up Model Y. It's going to be a much more important program than the Roadster, which of course he was right about. But at the same time, you cannot sell a vehicle for years and just keep delaying it for half a decade just because you figured out that you have more important things to do. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and right now they're probably blaming autonomy or Optimus or whatever. All right, Jamie says hovering would be a waste of weight, cost, and complexity. Upforce doesn't make cars faster. Downforce does. Thankfully, Tesla's actual engineers, not Elon, filed a patent for some neat fan car tech. Oh, that's interesting. All right. Elon is at Joe Rogan again. Oh, no. Yeah, we'll have to listen to the whole thing for all the crazy. So my date has to ride in the lap of the safety driver. That is...
Why not your lap? You drive, or she gets her own seat. You get in the lap of the safety driver.
Right. There's a lot of options. The worst one is she's in the lap of the safety driver. All right. Carl in San Diego. Have shareholders sued Robin and the board yet? If not, they should, for putting Elon's interest ahead of Tesla's repeatedly, spending Tesla's money and time lobbying shareholders to accept extortion.
She's a defendant in the lawsuit for the one regarding XAI, for allowing Elon to just like start XAI and everything. She's a defendant on that, and she's been a defendant on the overcompensation one. It's obvious that Robin Denholm's deal was when Elon got, and this is the best example to say, like, people that say that Elon is afraid not to have control over Tesla and he needs 25% because he doesn't feel he has enough control now. It's like, can you name a time in the Tesla's 20 years of existence now where Elon didn't have full control over Tesla? And the best example is he was actually caught with securities fraud by the SEC. Securities fraud, had to settle with the SEC, which normally is the end of your career and as an executive at public company.
Yeah,
you get banned from, or at least like you cannot be leading a company for a few years if it's a settlement as to that. With Elon, his settlement was you cannot be chairman. You can still be CEO. You cannot be chairman for 3 years. And then all he did is like, I'll just put a puppet chairwoman, Robin in home, and I'll give her great compensation. And in exchange, she's gonna enable great compensation for me and do whatever I say. And it's exactly what happened. And like no one can deny that. Like
Yep. All right. At this point, Aptera will soon be able to buy Tesla's failed auto division. I don't know about that. Failing fast with no fixed insight.
Aptera is still worth. Like I've been keeping an eye on this stock just for fun, like just to see like if it's still in the game. And it's up 8% today at 755. So it's worth about $200 million right now. So it's still alive. So that means they have their deal to sell discounted stock for up to 75 million. So I'm sure they are raising some money right now with that.
Yep. All right. Crazy person gets control of the robot army, or Nazi gets control of the robot army. 6-7.
In this case, the crazy person and the I mean, I wouldn't say I don't think Elon is a Nazi. I think he's a white nationalist, which is very close to a white supremacist. So it has definitely like neo-Nazis tendencies. But yeah, I mean, who wants? What scares you the most, to have a bunch of institutional investors take over Tesla and have control over Tesla's AI and robots, or Elon Musk?
Yeah, no kidding. All right. Dan says no tariffs on canola and pork. Good news for fans of fried pork rinds. All right.
Well, Chinese fans of fried pork rinds, because they would be the one that get the pork and the canola. We'll get their EVs.
Wes Bungay says, why just open up and import cars from China like Australia?
Well, that's what they're discussing, but we put 100% tariffs on Chinese EVs to back the Americans. Now we're talking about removing those.
Any info about the new Honda Prelude? Is that an EV? I don't think it's an EV.
No.
Unfortunately.
No, but Honda did have an input in there, but they did have an unveiling for like a nice little like K-Core / hot hatch electric, but it's just for the Japanese market, unfortunately.
Okay. What is Toyota software like other EVs like, as the software in their hybrids is terrible? Yeah, I don't think Toyota's a real amazing software company. So
yeah, it's one thing that the Japanese need to improve on. The promise is like, oh, maybe like the Sony Honda car is gonna change that, and like the Japanese gonna have great software. I'm like, all right, let's see.
Yeah, I don't know if Sony's really known for their software.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Is like I mean, probably among the best in Japanese companies, but Japan has had great hardware, electronic software development for years, but they've never been known for the software, and that translates to car industry also.
Yeah, Toto toilets, not good software. All right, my wife and I just spent a weekend in the Mount Saint Hilaire region of Quebec. You familiar, Fred? We saw a lot of EVs.
I grew up right next to in Saint Basile, like 20 minutes away from that.
So a lot of EVs, mostly Teslas, Ioniq 5s, and Equinox EV. We had a great time eating and drinking apple treats. Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot of apples there. Yeah, I mean, we have a great adoption rate. We're like 40% at the peak. I think 35-40% at the peak EV adoption in Quebec. It's been going down, I think, this year, but it's basically every other new car is an EV, basically.
What SUVs are you recommending in the EU, Poland, to buy right now? End of year for tax reasons. Highway range is important for me. Also, low energy consumption will be nice, but not a must. I mean, it's like depends what, like, if you're looking for a Mercedes or
that's the price range is always useful for when you ask for that, like, because and also like how big of it, because an SUV for us in North America versus an SUV for like an Ioniq 5 in Europe could be like kind of an SUV, I guess. It's well, here it's a little bit smaller, so I don't think, because for me, like if I want great efficiency, not something too big, because it's still Europe, even though Poland is not as it's a little bit more forgiving when it comes to vehicle size. I would think that is a pretty good option. But yeah, if you want to go, if you have the money for it, like I love the Q6, the Audi Q6. I think it's a great car, great size, great format. Going to be almost twice the price of my i5. But
I think they're reminding Steve Jobs did a backdating options thing. He didn't get
backdating options.
Yeah, Steve Jobs had a controversy in the early 2000s where he took options and then he backdated the prices on them.
But I mean, all options are with a discounted price anyway. So
he got slapped in the hand. Robin and Elon just have strong alignment. Yeah, that's and Fred. Elon is very crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And then Elon needs to go back to South Africa and work on domestic issues there. We are fine in the U.S. without him.
I mean, he's trying. He's trying. He's going on X, and he's like, "Oh, he's trying to save South Africa, Germany, the UK." He's really on a mission to save them from more Tesla cells. Really, more than anything else. It's the main goal. It seems like. I mean, I'm always amazed of like the X world versus the real world. Like people think that X represent the real world. Like you see Elon's post getting millions of hits on X, and you would think like, oh, he has a massive impact. Like AFD is polling at 26%. He's gonna save Germany and all that. It's like most people they don't care about Elon's opinion in Germany. Like the vast majority of people, and probably in the US too, they don't care. On X, it seems like a big deal, but in X is not the real world, folks. It's full of bots. No, there's bots everywhere too. But I mean, every time I'm like, I catch myself wanting to argue with someone on X. I'm like, Fred, this could just be a bot, or it could be like a 14-year-old trying to troll you. Just back off. And that's Elon should heed that advice quite a bit. All right, that's it for us this week. Next week, I'm going to China. So I'm going to be in China all week and the next weekend too. So we're going to have to figure out something for the podcast, trying to make sense. I'm going to be in Guangzhou and Shenzhen. If you guys have any good idea for me, things to check out in Guangzhou, I'm going to be a little bit busy with Xpeng. It's going to be the idea of Xpeng I'm going to check out. But then I have a few days in Shenzhen to check out EVs there and other things. I want to check out batteries too, and all that. So I'm gonna be pretty busy for the next week, but we're gonna try to squeeze in a podcast at a time that makes sense. Might not just be the usual time. We'll see. And yeah, I hope you guys have a safe weekend. Have fun and have a happy, spooky Halloween.